Hello class, in this video we're going to be reviewing over simple interest. The learning intention of today's lesson is we're going to be unpacking several key terms including the words principal, interest, interest rate, and period. We're going to understand how simple interest is calculated. We're going to be applying the simple interest formula to calculate the interest earned, the investment time period, as well as the rate. And we're finally going to be able to calculate the final account balance earned through simple interest. So we're first going to be unpacking these three terms over here. Now, to understand what the word principal is, you need to understand why anyone would go to the bank. The two primary reasons why any individual will go to the bank is either you're trying to request for a loan. So that means you're borrowing money from the bank, or alternatively, you might want to visit a bank because you want to invest money into a separate savings account. That means to put money into an account that will earn money over time, and you're just leaving it there so you can get richer and richer. That's kind of the whole idea behind it. Now, for any of these circumstances over here, the money that you've borrowed or the money that you've invested, this is what we refer to as the principal. Okay, so it's really important that you understand what this word means. So when you're investing or when you're borrowing, what will happen is that depending on the circumstance, you're either going to be charged with interest, meaning you have to pay extra money, or you might actually earn interest. You might actually earn extra money. So when you're investing, what will happen is that you actually earn interest. So when you put money to a separate savings account, you're going to earn money. So you're going to get more richer over time. However, when you're borrowing money from the bank account, since you don't have that money to begin with, what you need to do is that you need to also pay the bank interest on top of the amount that you borrowed from them. So therefore, you're going to have to owe them interest. We say that interest is the additional amount of money earned from investing, or interest could be the additional amount of money that you need to pay for because of as a result of borrowing money. And this is kind of summarized over here on this slide as well as the concept map. We say that the word interest rate it's pretty much the interest that you need to pay that's based off the principal, but just expressed as a percentage. And this could either be done per annum, or could even be done weekly, monthly. It depends, but oftentimes you're going to see this per annum though. So we're just going to be unpacking these words over here again, just one last time, just so you understand what these key terms here mean. So we said that invest means to either put or deposit money into something so that you can make a profit in the long run. We say deposit is when you place money into the bank. A loan is the amount of money that you borrowed from the bank generally, but if you're not borrowing from the bank, then we refer to the person you're borrowing from as a lender. The interest is the additional amount of money that you're either charged or you're going to earn. The interest rate is pretty much the interest that you need to pay expressed as a percentage of the principal, and the principal is the total amount of money that you've either borrowed or invested at the beginning. There are two types of interest, but in today's video we're only going to be focusing on simple interest. Simple interest is a type of interest that is earned or charged, depending on the context, based on the principal. So if you look to the diagram on the right over here, notice that you initially have $100 in your savings account. So that's your principal over here. Notice that for each year, you're going to be earning the exact same rate. In this example over here, you started off with $100, but by the end of the first year, you now have $150. By the end of the second year, you've earned an extra $50 worth of interest. Therefore, you're going to have $200 and so forth. Notice that this is a linear graph, and therefore we say that the amount of interest when you've earned simple interest is either fixed, constant, uniform, or static. These are the words that you want to use to describe how much money you're going to be earning over time through simple interest. These are the two formulas that I've actually previously shown you before when we're trying to calculate how much interest that you earn. So now, notice that the differences between these two formulas is just one of them has a capital R, one of them has a lowercase r. I highly recommend that you use this formula over here because you're going to make less mistakes in the long run. Because when you're using this formula, you do not need to convert the interest rate into a decimal. Just leave the number as it is and substitute into the formula, and then you should arrive to the exact same answer. However, if you're going to be using the formula on this side over here on the left hand side, you need to first convert your interest rate into a decimal and then substitute into the formula before you can use it. So pretty much what I'm trying to say is just use the second formula over here. You're going to make less mistakes in the long run. We've done this example over here, but I'm just going to go through this example again. So the question says, if you invested $12,000 at 4% for 3 years, calculate the simple interest earned and balance at the end of 3 years. So we're going to substitute all the values into the formula. Notice that this is already in years, so I don't need to worry about converting things into the standard units. So it's going to be 12,000 multiplied by 4. So notice that I'm not converting, I'm just writing and leaving the percentage as it is, 4 multiplied by 3, all divided by 100. Therefore, you're going to get an answer of 1,440. Remember, please remember that this amount over here is the extra money that you've earned through simple interest, okay? So that is not your final balance at the end of 3 years. To find out the final balance, what you need to do is therefore add it by how much you had at the beginning of that year or the investment. So you initially had 12,000, which is your principal. Add your interest that you've earned with your principal. So A, which is the total amount, is going to be 12,000 plus 1,440. Therefore, your final balance is going to be $13,440. In this second example up here, this is a little bit more trickier because I've actually given you the period in months as opposed to years. Years is a standard unit, so we need to actually convert this into years by dividing it by 12. So substitute all the values into the actual equation. Notice that I haven't actually figured out what 7 on 12 is as a decimal. If you do that, you're probably not going to get the accurate answer. Please leave everything into a fractional in exact form. This way, you're going to get an accurate answer. So 2,500 multiplied by 9 multiplied by 7 on 12, all divided by 100. Your answer should therefore be $131.25. Alright, please pause the video right now and answer these 4 questions for me. For these questions over here, notice that all of the time is in years, so I don't need to do any conversions whatsoever. So if I was to answer the first question, 500 times 12 times 4 over 100, you should get 240. Therefore, to find out my final balance, I'm going to add the interest of that I gained with my initial principal. So add it with 500, therefore your answer is 740. For part B, do the exact same thing. And I'm just going to show you all the answers over here because it's pretty much just repetition at this point. Please make sure that your answers are the same as my answers. All right, moving on to the next question over here. For the second question, I've actually given you the time period in months. So make sure that you convert these months into years, so by dividing it by 12. So if you do this, your first answer for part A should be $466.95. And therefore, your final balance is going to be $6,126.95. Do the exact same thing for part B, and this is the answer you should have for part B. Now, I'm just going to be quickly going through the feedback based on your exit tickets again, just so that you can avoid making these mistakes in your post-test as well as you can. Now, the first common mistake is that obviously you can't convert percentage into decimals, so this is a common mistake that I've identified. So 6% is not the same thing as 0.6. Instead, what it should be is 6% is equal to 0.06. The second common mistake that I've often see students often make is that they've usually converted the interest rate into a decimal and then used this particular formula over here. So that is incorrect. Remember, we don't need to convert the percentage into a decimal when you're using this particular formula over here. So if this was the question over here, the mistake that I often saw was that firstly, students cannot convert this. They think that this is the same thing as 0.6. But not only is this wrong, but they've also used that value with this particular formula. Remember, when you're converting things into a decimal, do not use this formula, use the other formula instead. As a result, they've got the incorrect answer. So please do not make this same mistake over here. We're now going to be looking at how to find principals, the interest rate, and time period. What I have over here is the transpose or the rearranged formula so that you could readily calculate what the principal, interest rate, and time period is going to be. So we're going to look at 2 examples, or a couple of examples actually. Find the interest rate for both of these examples. So one of them is an investment, meaning that you've kind of put money into the bank account and then you're trying to let the account grow over time to earn more money. So we're going to be using this formula over here. This over here is the principal. So that's how much you have at the beginning. And it's saying that you've earned an extra $1,250 in terms of interest for this time duration. So all you need to do is you need to actually substitute all the values into the calculator and arrive to, and therefore you should get an answer of 6.25%. For part B, this is slightly more tricky because they've given you time period in months. Make sure you convert this to years by dividing that by 12. So in this case, use the exact same formula and you should get an answer of 80%. Please pause the video right now so you can answer these 4 questions. We're trying to find out what the missing value is. So for part A, you're trying to find out the time period. So therefore, please use this formula over here. Substitute all the values in. You should get an answer of 4 years. In this, for part B, we're trying to find the principal. So therefore, you're using this formula. So the principal is going to be 4,680 times 100 divided by 6.5 times 4. You should get an answer of 18,000. For part C and part D, you're trying to find out what the interest rate is, but notice that you've been given in the time in months. Please make sure you divide this by 12 to get it into years. So therefore, if you do this, you should get these answers over here for part C and D respectively. These are some additional questions that I'd like you to do inside your exercise book. So all the blank spaces that you see in this table, those are the things that you need to solve for. So for instance, please solve for what the interest is for this one. Please find out what the principal is going to be for this one. So each of these rows are pretty much a separate question. Please answer this so you're more familiar with this. I don't have the answers, but I'm pretty confident that you should arrive to the correct answer if you've been following through the examples and questions previously. And the last thing that I'd like to go through for this particular video is how do we calculate the simple interest and balance from first principle. So pretty much you're doing the long way method and representing all of our answers in a table format. So we've previously looked at this example over here. So Kevin has invested $15,000 at 10% per annum for simple interest. So since this over here is how much he's investing, that is therefore going to be our starting balance. So that's going to be 15,000. The amount of interest that Kevin's going to earn for the very first year is 10% of what he initially invested. So 10% of 15,000 is therefore going to be 1,500. And therefore, to find out the final balance at the end of the year, it's going to be 15,000 plus the extra money he's earned through interest. So therefore, his answer is going to be 16,500. That will also be the starting balance of the second year. Now, remember, for simple interest, the amount of interest you earn is always going to be the same every single year. So therefore, to fill in this cell over here, this should be the exact same as the one on top. So this is going to also be 1,500. Therefore, to find out the final balance, it will be 16,500 plus an extra 1,500. You should therefore get 18,000. This will be the starting balance of the third year. Again, this is still the same. Just keep adding, and this is how you should therefore fill out the remaining table. All right, please pause the video over here and answer this question inside your exercise book. So for this case over here, it says Jamie was approved for a loan worth 45,000. So that's therefore going to be our starting balance. The interest rate that the to the car dealership has given him was 3.5% per annum, and you have to pay it off over 5 years. So therefore, the interest earned is going to be 3.5% of 45,000. That's 1,575. Therefore, the amount that he owes after the first year is going to be $46,575. This will be the starting balance of the second year. Remember, this column over here should be the same thing because it's a simple interest. The amount of interest you earn every single year is the same. So that's going to be the same. Therefore, to find out my final balance, just add these two values together and pretty much do the exact same thing for the other cells in this table. And this is the answer that you should arrive to. All right, what I'd like you to do now is I want you to please complete and finish off any questions that you haven't done so previously from this particular exercise, so from exercise 1J. So please answer questions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as well as questions 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Please leave a thumbs up if this video was helpful. See you in the next video. Peace out.